So Kamala Harris brought Michelle Obama with her to rally in Michigan. I believe this was yesterday. Could be the day before. Pretty sure this was yesterday. And Michelle Obama goes on a rant against men for letting their disillusionment and disaffection and class-based rage imperil the standing of the women in their lives. This is Michelle Obama, perhaps at her most condescending, which is a very, very big thing to say.
Yeah.
All right,
that's a very high bar.
Very high bar. Here we go.
That there are a lot of angry, disillusioned people out there, upset with the slow pace of change, and I get it. It is reasonable to be frustrated. We all know we have a lot more work to do in this country. But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage.
Okay.
You're talking to me all wrong. It's the wrong tone.
Yes. Well, rage by definition, unless you're dealing with a psycho, like someone who belongs in like an actual like straitjacket in a padded room.
Yeah.
Rage does not exist in a vacuum. Like there's a reason why people are angry. The context for the rage is not this baseless, man rage at the social progress we've made, which is usually the implication that the Obamas make when they talk about the disaffection of working class people. Here she seems to validate their rage, but at the same time say, you better check your rage, because if you don't, you're going to be endangering the women in your life.
Like your husband did by not codifying Roe after promising it would be his first priority in office.
Well, this is the amazing thing
endangering
about
women
this.
that way. Is that what she means?
This is the amazing thing about this, is that Barack Obama promised both to empower the working people after the 2008 financial crisis and to codify Roe versus Wade into law within the first, 90 or 100 days. He failed to do both those things. He did not empower the working people, and he did not codify Roe versus Wade. Because he didn't empower workers, they got disaffected and they turned to Trump. And then because he didn't codify Roe, Trump overturned Roe. And so now the working class is still angry because the working class has never been unfucked in the way that Barack Obama promised he would. And there's no Roe versus Wade because Barack Obama promised he would codify it, and it didn't. And so now what she's saying is, you have to vote for us, the same party that screwed workers, because we failed to also codify Roe versus Wade. Like, it's just such blatant emotional blackmail. It's like, yeah, we failed to do everything we were supposed to do, and now you guys are stuck holding the bag, but you have no choice but to double down and vote for us anyway, or else you're a bad person, because our failure to codify Roe versus Wade, actually, that's on you, working class men. Because if you empower the Republicans again, they're going to make it even worse, even though we totally failed on both scores.
If only all of America were but one private chef.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly.
The Obamas are really working overtime to outdo the Clintons as the biggest fucking pieces of shit the country has ever produced. They are just unbelievable in their hypocrisy, and it's amped up by their racial identity, because that is the purpose of the Obamas. What do you think? The elite class put them out ahead of Hillary because they feel they want to elevate black people? You think they give a shit about that? It's much better cover to have someone like Barack Obama representing this triumph over America's past while they rob the nation blind than just to have another old white guy. That makes it too obvious, right? You put in Barack Obama, you can make it about something entirely different. The role of the Obamas is to put this face of diversity on oligarchy, to make it look like we're making progress when the underlying reality of the economy is no progress for working people of all colors. And then what she's doing here, that is what the Obamas are for. That's what the Obamas were elevated to do, to turn everything into a racial, cultural issue, and to tell people if they are concerned about their economics, check your privilege.
Right.
Old white guy, Biden can't say that.
Right.
That's what they're there for. That's the reason they picked Obama over Hillary. They felt he could sell that better than she could.
Look at these idiots applauding.
Are you as men
How stupid you have to be to applaud that.
into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety? And to the
Can you look into the eyes of the women and children you love, who you betrayed at every single opportunity when you were the most powerful couple on earth? Like, the reason we are where we are is because of Barack Obama as much as anybody else. As much as anybody else, it was Obama's failure that made Trump and Trumpism viable. Trump is a non-starter if Barack Obama prosecutes bankers. Non-starter. Right. No way. No way Trump gets a foothold if Barack Obama sicked his Justice Department on the oligarchs who crashed the market as opposed to the homeowners who relied on their mortgages. No way. And there is no willingness ever to reconcile with that. What did I tell you? We covered the Obamas about a week and a half ago. Narcissists that they are, what does a narcissist do? They blame everyone closest to them. They blame their friends for their failures, not themselves. They don't blame their enemies. They blame their friends. They blame those closest to them. Here they are doing it one more time.
Yeah, one of the craziest Obama stories is how after he got elected, it's after the financial crisis, in the middle of the financial crisis, the bankers were scared shitless. When they got summoned to the White House, they thought he's going to pull an FDR on them. They walk into the Oval Office. He says, "What do you guys need?"
Right. Yep. I know a guy. I interviewed a guy. I won't get into details because it was for another gig, and it was, it would not be proper for me to spill that kind of tea as to who they were. But I was just doing. This was back when I was doing audio, video work, like it was a day job kind of thing. And there was this business owner who was starting a new business. Right at the time the financial crisis hit. And part of how he started this new business is he would sell a very exclusive, personalized, limited edition item. I won't even get into what it is because you might guess what it is. But, for like whatever, 10 grand a piece, you can have this fucking thing with your name etched in it as a founding member of whatever. Okay. And he got a bunch of orders.
So your friend was in the Illuminati.
No, it's actually a very innocuous business.
He was selling the eye with the pyramid.
I could say this. It's an entertainment venue. That's what I could say. That's not giving anything away because there are millions of those. So basically, creating this new entertainment venue sells all this really fancy limited edition shit to these very wealthy people who could drop 10 grand on this fancy shit. He gets a bunch of orders in. When the stock market crashes, like a third of the orders cancel. Not because they could no longer afford it, but because the cultural cachet of being a rich prick was gone. The rich people were afraid that the pitchforks were actually going to come for them, especially since it looked like Obama was going to win. That's how weakened they were. That's how in the palm of Obama's hand they were. He could have crushed them if he wanted to. That's what he was elected to do, and he didn't. And because he didn't, Donald Trump had an opening, and everything since is a result of their failure. Their failure, not working class men who are upset and are now going to sell their women down the river by voting for Donald Trump. It's such an obscenely condescending thing to say. It's such a disgusting thing to say. What a horrible person you have to be to say that. And what a fucking moron you have to be to clap for that in the audience. You have to have absolutely no understanding whatsoever of politics or of recent history or of economics or of fucking anything.
Well, they don't. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't. These are the people who have Michelle Obama's memoir tucked under their arms.
Right. Yeah. Yep. All right. We'll let this go a little more.
The women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us. We have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's your husband.
Wow.
It's your husband's failure. Our failures are not our failure. Blame our failures, the Obama's failures, on the men in your life, on the men you love. Hate them instead. Don't hate us.
This is their closing pitch. They did
Yeah.
that commercial with no women are going to date you
Right.
if you're not voting with all African Americans. Like and Obama, yeah, well, we're having a problem with the brothers.
Yeah.
With the brothers, yeah, like you speak that way at home.
Just unbelievable.
It's just, well, this is how Democrats think. They are an aristocracy. They think in terms of the fucking peasants. How dare you peasants not do what you're supposed to do? That's just their framing. That's how they think about the world. It is so ingrained in how they understand the public that they don't even think it through to, well, maybe that's going to be kind of off-putting to have a bunch of rich pricks talking down to voters. They so assume their right to do that. It doesn't occur to them that it might be counterproductive to their aims to do that.
Yeah. I mean, and this is even more insidious than that in a way. It's even more mean-spirited than that. It's turning families against each other. Turn the women in the family against the men in their family. Your rage is not worth my safety or my autonomy. Again, the Obamas were in a position to solve both of these problems. They had a mandate to solve both of these problems. They consciously chose to solve neither. And now what are they going to do? They're going to blame the peasants, as you said. They're going to turn the peasants against each other to deflect from their obvious failure. It is sick. That is sick. It is a sick speech. We should demand that the men in our lives do better. Why doesn't everybody demand that you do better? Ever think of that? Maybe you should have done better. Maybe we wouldn't be in this spot if you had done what you were elected to do in an overwhelming landslide with an overwhelming mandate. No, you can't say that. Can't say that to Michelle Obama or to Barack Obama. That's out of bounds. Really, really incredible. Really incredible. Chutzpah, as we say. The chutzpah.
The
on
chutzpah
Michelle
on them.
Obama.
Please clap.